concern, but I'm also interested to hear what our continued efforts in the country will look like. I look forward to the hearing today. Again, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your continued efforts to champion a humanitarian solution for this issue.
We now would like to call on Representative Chabot, Chairman of the Middle East and South Asian Subcommittee, who is the officially the co-sponsor or co-chairing this event, and we appreciate hearing from your opening statement, Mr. Chabot.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Let me begin by thanking my colleague, the gentleman from California, the chairman of the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations, Mr. Rohrabacher, for calling this timely and important joint hearing with the subcommittee on the Middle East and South Asia that I happen to chair. In January of 2009, the Iraqi government took the sovereign control of Camp Ashraf and responsibility for the 3,400 residents living in it. Since then, there have been several extremely disturbing incidents, one of which we just saw, which resulted in the deaths of Camp Ashraf residents. I'm particularly disturbed by the deaths of as many as 35 residents of Camp Ashraf resulting from the clashes with Iraqi April 8, 2011. Again, well, I guess that was the same one as that, yes. Reports of shortages of food, fuel, and medical supplies are also very concerning. This is simply unacceptable. The Iraqi government must take all necessary and appropriate steps to prevent the loss of life. As we work to resolve this situation, however, it is incumbent on all parties to remember that the 3,400 residents are not just words on a page, but people, human beings. The status of the residents of Camp Ashraf is a complex issue and one that requires an international solution, which takes into account the desires of the actual residents. Correspondingly, I'd like to echo recent calls to push back the December 31st deadline to close Camp Ashraf. I fear that trying to rush a solution only risks further harm to the camp residents. Although permanent homes for these residents will certainly take time to find, and as such patience will be required on the part of all concerned parties, it is critical that the international community understand the urgency of the situation and proceed expeditiously. I want to again thank Chairman Rohrabacher for calling this hearing. I look forward to hearing the testimony of the witnesses, and I yield back my time.
I would now like to recognize Congressman Poe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a crisis that is taking place halfway around the world, and the United States should be aware of this crisis and impending deadline. Now, why would the Iraqi government want to close down a camp and just move them to another camp in Iraq? Well, because the Iraqi government knows that the phrase Camp Ashraf is known throughout the world as a place of refuge for Iranian freedom fighters. Iraq knows if it attacks the residents while they're in Camp Ashraf, it will face worldwide condemnation, like it did in 2009 and 2011 when they massacred over 40 unarmed civilians. The residents of Camp Ashraf said they don't trust the Iraqi government. I don't blame them. They've invaded their camp twice. The residents of Camp Ashraf have applied to be recognized as political refugees by the United Nations. Iraq knows that if the residents get refugee status, it won't be able to violate their human rights without more serious consequences. So with strong pressure from the Iranians, Maliki and his thugs are closing the camp on December the 31st before the UN refugee process can finish. On December 12th, Maliki will be in the United States. He'll be in Washington, D.C. I'm gathering a letter with signatures to the President urging him to raise the Camp Ashraf issue during this meeting. We have 47 signatures. We hope to have more. The clock is ticking. The days are numbered. I hope the witnesses today can exactly outline specifically what will be done by this administration to protect the residents of Camp Ashraf. I hope we don't hear, as in my opinion we've heard in the past, more comments about why our government continues to side with the Maliki government and the interest of Iran over the freedom fighters in Camp Ashraf. And I yield back.
Congressman Rivera. please, with your opening statement, and then our two guests will be permitted to have opening statements as well.
Perfect, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, and I will adhere to your 2-minute admonition as well. My main question that I would like answered during this hearing, Mr. Chairman, particularly from Ambassador Freed, is this issue of the arbitrary December 31st deadline, and what is the United States doing to avoid what can only be referred to as a New Year's Eve massacre